Hey there, thanks for checking out this Restoration Today podcast. We are live from the Experience, or recording at the Experience. So I am joined by Brian Lester and Roger Berry from DOT, and they are a chemical company that has a really interesting way of getting their solution around that's easier, I would say. And we have other people peeking in to see how it's going. So we're in the middle of a busy trade show floor. So if you hear noise, Chuck DeWald is across the way teaching, and there's a lot of other things going on. So gentlemen, thank you for joining me very much. I'm going to pass it over to Roger first and have you introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here, Michelle. I'm Roger Berry and the CEO of the company behind DOT, a company called Sudoc. Very proud. We were named one of the top 10 startups to watch by Chemical and Engineering News last year. So we're working hard on a new kind of chemistry and being a different kind of chemical company. My partner in crime here is Brian Lester. Over to you.
Hi, I'm Brian Lester. I'm a product specialist for DOT Cleaner. I've been in the cleaning and restoration business for over 20 years. I've got an active mold remediation business in Indianapolis, and we're using this new technology in our business.
So I'm curious where the foundation of DOT came from. Like, Brian, I'm thinking that maybe you saw some pain points in your business and we're like, we got to make some changes here. Where did this innovation come from, and how long has DOT been around now? Which one of you wants to take that one first?
I'll start.
Okay.
So DOT is really the first product of a remarkable chemistry that was invented at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So Dr. Terry Collins has been working on this molecule for 30 years based on the principles of biomimicry. And it's a molecule that was invented based on an enzyme in your liver, but it itself is not an enzyme. It's a supercharging catalyst. And so essentially what we can do is very difficult cleaning jobs with a lot less chemical. And the problem we're trying to solve is the chemical burden that most cleaning products for difficult jobs have today is very high. And that makes it hard for the worker, means it's harder to keep workers because the work is difficult, and the chemical burden that's left behind in the home is not good for the homeowner either. And so we're striving to do a better job with at least 1/8 and soon to be even less chemicals in these products. So when we started with this molecule, there were a lot of different directions we could go. And we're really blessed because Brian had been the mad scientist working with a previous version of this molecule and had been whipping it up on site to treat mold. But the new version allowed us to really start building a product. But we started with mold cleaning, mold stain cleaning, largely because Brian just had an incredible expertise of how to transform this into a DOT product. So maybe you want to pick up on that.
Sure. So we had issues with the chemicals that we were using causing chemical burns. So chemical burns were a big problem for our business, along with the saturation of gases and other byproducts associated with strong chemicals in people's homes. So there was a safety issue involved. There was also a performance issue. So we were looking for ways that we could minimize labor, and we could use the chemistry to make the job easier, as opposed to more scrubbing, more sanding, that type of thing. And we had tried lots of things. So if you can clean mold in any particular way, I've done it at least that way once. So anyways, I met Terry online, and we hit it off really well out of the gate. And I said, hey, you've got this new technology. You're not using it in my industry, but I think that it would make a big difference there. And we started, like Roger said, we started mixing stuff in the backyard and off the back of trucks for a long time. So I'm really excited to be part of DOT and to have something that we've got a formulated product that's designed for this purpose, and it works extremely well.
Okay, so Roger, you said something interesting about chemical burden. And I think some contractors understand what that is and some do not understand that term. And that's something that's maybe come more about even since the pandemic, right? And people are going in and cleaning and leaving residues and not doing the right process to get the cleaners out once they're using it right. So can one of you explain a little bit more what chemical burden means?
So there's a growing body of research that has been reinforced over the last 30 plus years that the pure volume of chemicals that we have in our lives are having a very negative effect on a number of aspects. Decreased fertility, at rapid rates. Male fertility has declined by 50%, increased cancer rates, and increased impacted behaviors. And the frontline people who are experiencing those issues are workers dealing with heavy doses of chemical products, and mold remediation would be really at the top of the list. But even beyond those issues, if you go down to more practical matters, it's really the worker conditions. Even if you forget fertility, cancer rates, and disease states, it's quality of life. And so of the people we work with, the number of reports that we hear of having a hard time keeping workers on the job, having a hard time keeping workers consistently on the job because they do a job one day and they just don't feel well enough to go into the job site the next day. So there is a singular benefit in being able to have a product that uses a lot less chemical. But you know what? If it doesn't work, no one cares. What is important is having a product that can do the difficult job. And that's where this patented molecule comes in. Because with this, it's called NT7. With NT7, we can supercharge these reactions so the oxidation happens faster. And when it's more rapid, it happens with less chemicals involved.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think
Nope. He nailed it. He nailed it. Yes. Okay. So what kind of research have you guys done to prove that, okay, there's less chemical? And I'm sure you have people come up to you like, there's less chemical. How does it really work? And you just kind of explained it a little bit, but what kind of research have you done to prove like, no, this is really effective and it's safe and it's doing exactly what we say it's going to?
we can start with that. So I just have practical experience. So we're actually using the product on job sites right now in Indianapolis and have had hundreds of successful projects using this technology. So I know firsthand that the technology does what it's supposed to do, that it works the way it's supposed to work, because it's something that I've actually done. I know that we're working on all kinds of experiences in the lab. In fact, Roger can probably relay one of the gals that we're working with now and a test that she recently did. You want to relay that?
So, what's most important for us are the people that we serve. And, these are what I would call heartland of America type jobs, right? This is what is the backbone of America, and these small businesses, and how can they survive and prosper more profitably. And there's different motivations why people come to DOT. And maybe I drawn 3 examples. So for Barbara Dale with Earth Care Clean in South Carolina, she has a massive business because mold never stops in South Carolina. And she was using a $200 probiotic product that she actually helped bring into the mold sphere. They kept raising the prices on her. She's very careful about not wanting to put large amounts of chemicals. And we were the first product that she found that could replace that product. By the way, we're 1/7 the price. So she just cut her annual chemical budget by 1/7. Now she's got an environmental motivation, and that's what she cares about. I mean, she cares about her workers, cares about all of it, but that was the larger driver. But you take a guy like Chuck Sardellis in Northern Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia, and he himself was a child of respiratory disease, growing up in a very low-income house. When he moved out, it was condemned. The guy almost died when he was 11 years old from double pneumonia and lung failure. And so for him, it's very personal that we clean mold, but it's also very personal for him because there's a lot of sensitivity of his customers that they can't be bombed with chemicals that are going to drive them out of the houses because they're people who have some infirmity. And so, Chuck has worked with us on creating this. And for him, this product allowed him to do 3 times more work per technician than what he was using before. Because the other issue he has, he can't find labor right now. And so he needed to find a way of getting more out of each technician. And that's been really critical.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, we haven't gotten to yet what makes your product different and how it's delivered. I think that's a big part of it. So let's go there next. Let's, I'm going to have you do your little, he's got a magic trick. I'm just going to hand it over to Roger and he's going to do.
All right. Well, what's really cool is I've got a gallon of product right on my hands. So you can carry a gallon in your pocket. A box that's about 7 by 9 inches long can replace 25 gallons of liquid product. And the magic of having a dry formulation is you're now not shipping water all over the place. That's what makes us price competitive, because we don't have to be more expensive or less expensive because we're so efficient by being a dry formulated product. Less packaging, about 1/40th the amount of packaging means less waste, less carbon footprint. So now all of these companies can ride on top of this brand footprint and sell sustainability, sell the fact that they care about the earth, care about their workers. When customers see that you care about the earth and your workers, they get a better sense that you're going to care about them as well. So, Brian, you want? Brian, maybe talk about what
I
does it
think you
mean?
did a pretty good job.
But what does it mean using a dry formulated product?
So using a dry powdered formula for us means there's obvious advantages with stocking and with storage. So this product also has a shelf life which exceeds anything we've used in the past. So this has a 2-year shelf life that we're guaranteeing. It probably will last longer than that. We just haven't been able to hold it on a shelf long enough to know that that's going to be true. But not only those things, but you also just have the ease of using it on site. So it's hard to explain if you haven't done it, moving a 5-gallon bucket of a cleaning solution or dumping a 5-gallon bucket of cleaning solution into a tank versus a packet that you're mixing. So it just makes mixing and use a lot easier on site.
Just one last comment. Hurricane season's coming. The latest research that was out today predicted 19 hurricanes coming in the United States. I just saw that news article today. What happens when the hurricane comes? Everyone runs to the distributor. Everyone runs to the store to stock up on product. And when your product degrades over 4 to 6 weeks, that's why you get that crunch. With this product, you could order for hurricane season, keep it on your shelf. It's guaranteed. It's going to be shelf stable. It's easy to manage that inventory and move. So we're hoping we're helping a lot of small businesses prepare for big jobs.
Perfect. So how easy is it to mix? How long does it take once you dump it in the water to mix up? Is there any, I'm sure there's not a whole lot of room for error at this point. You dump it in there and it dissolves, right?
It's a little bit more complicated than that. So you certainly want to agitate it. So we recommend that you stir it or that you shake it. We actually just completed a video series. So there's actually going to be a video series on our website, .cleaner.com, which will actually explain how one goes about mixing it. My guys personally in Indianapolis, we use a fairly significant amount of this at one time. So we are generally mixing this in 2.5 or 5-gallon sizes, and they'll put it in a 5-gallon bucket with hot water. And then they'll use actually a drill with a paint mixer. Super easy way for them to mix it.
So what is the process for using the product? What is your tried and true mold remediation process? What steps do you recommend contractors go through? We're not just doing a spray and pray. Obviously, like there's good proper processes for removing mold. So what is the proper process when you're using your product?
I'll just tell you an anecdote. So when Tom Skrodsky in Western Massachusetts in Springfield first used the product, trying to get a sense of it, mixed it up, looked at the brand, saw this is a little different. And he mixed it up, sprayed it on. He called Brian. He said, all right, Brian, what do I do now? And Brian said, go to lunch. And he said, well, I'm not hungry. He says, well, go check out another job. I said, okay, I'll do that. And he went away for an hour and a half. And the thing is the product keeps working. So the reason it makes the labor easier is you can let the product do a lot of what the labor would otherwise be doing. It takes away a lot of the scrubbing and the cleaning and the elbow grease, which is again, why you can keep your workers longer. He came back 2 hours later and got a little bit upset at his workers because he thought they had painted the wall. That's how clean it was. All it was is Dot had done the job. But Brian, maybe you can talk a little bit more about step 1, 2, 3 of how you would use the process.
So you can use this product in various ways. So there are a lot of different ways that people remediate mold in the mold remediation marketplace. And I'm not here to tell, I'm not here to tell you that you're doing it wrong or that you have to do it my way. I think that you need to be educated and you need to make educated decisions between you and your clients and maybe the indoor environmental professional that you're working with to determine what steps are necessary. DOT can be incorporated into a various number of remediation processes, whether it's just cleaning the surface before you're going to then seal it, or it's going to be part of your HEPA sandwich. So you're going to HEPA vacuum, you can damp wipe with DOT, and then you could HEPA vacuum. DOT can be incorporated in all kinds of ways, and we should have video series that walk through that. And also, I'm available all the time. So you literally can call me at any time if you'd like to know where you can use the DOT product in your process. It's a direct replacement for some other products that are oxidizers that do similar stain removal and cleaning jobs already. So you can just directly insert it into that process that you're already using. Or you can begin to experiment with doing less steps in a process. We've done that now on several jobs with actual follow-up testing to make sure that we're actually getting the areas clean. I just wrapped up a job last week. Just got the test results back literally this morning. Extremely low spore counts, no surface mold growth detected. completely passed the IAQ investigation. It was great. So that was and we got the job done relatively quickly. It normally would have taken us about 4 or 5 days to do it. We got it done in 3 days. So, yeah.
Do you do testing on all of your jobs? How often do you have like IEPs and hygienists involved? And I'm kind of curious what their reaction is when you have them involved on jobs, and maybe this is the first time they've seen DOT and kind of what their reaction is.
So the vast majority of my work, particularly my company, is visual clearance. And if you talk to a lot of remediation contractors, you're finding that more and more of them are doing more work to a visual clearance. So especially for a smaller quantity of mold, or if you've got mold in an area that's not necessarily occupied, like an attic or a crawl space, more often than not, those are visual clearance. It looks clean, it smells clean. People can return to the area without any health effects. When we're doing interior work, yeah, most of the time that's going to have somebody involved with some air testing and some surface testing to make sure that we've actually cleaned up the area. But even that's widely varied across the country. So there's areas in the country where that's a really big deal. Like that's something serious. It's mandated by law, like in Texas and Florida. In other parts of the country, it's a little bit looser. So we really want to work with everybody in the industry to try to elevate the level of jobs that we're doing, and also not try to change somebody's operation right out of the gate. Yeah.
Okay, so we are at the Experience Trade Show. Are you guys doing any other shows this trade show season, as I fondly call it?
Well, I think we actually at some point have to go back to work and get in the labs and do that. This is good work. It's great to meet people out here. We spend a lot of time with our partners and customers. I think later in the year, we're in Vegas, right? We're going to be in Vegas, and that's the plan right at this point.
There's one in Chicago. It's is it ISSA? Is that right? Yeah, in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, we're still, a small and growing team, so we can't be everywhere at every time, and we, count on journals and channels like this to get the word out, and we really appreciate it.
Okay, anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it up? We covered a lot, I think. I think we did. Well, gentlemen, thank you. And Roger did reference hurricane predictions, and there is a new podcast out from CNR with a meteorologist or a scientist from Colorado State who is part of those predictions. So people who are watching that, check that out so you can know what's coming and get products that you need. I won't plug a specific product, but thanks for joining me, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For more Restoration Today, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, or find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts.